Experience the diverse beauty and coastal character of Bay Area living, where each home tells a unique story. Today on Homeworthy, we're featuring 3 exceptional Bay Area properties, starting with a classic and curated California home and ending with an idyllic wine country estate. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Before today's episode, click the join button below to support all of the storytelling we do on this channel. Our growing community of members help to directly fund more videos so we can capture these extraordinary homes from around the world. So join today to receive early and exclusive access to new Homeworthy videos.
Hi, my name is Jonathan. Welcome to my house in Carmel Valley. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
My name is Jonathan Rachman. I'm an interior designer, and you can call me an author too if you want to. We are at our, what I call humble hut. It's our country home in Carmel Valley. And it is a ranch style house that we've renovated, my husband and I, during the pandemic. The style is, for me, just truly what you see is what you get. And this is how we live our life. It's a reflection of our relationship and collection of our memorabilia from our travels collection, as well as family heirlooms and sentimental items that we don't want to get rid of yet. In fact, my husband calls me, this is the Hoarder Chateau. So it was during the pandemic. We used to live in the Bay Area, and I had this nightmare of, oh my God, I'm going to die in this high-rise, suburban, and looking at a parking lot. We used to live in Carmel, downtown Carmel, on the weekends, so we love this area. And I wanted to go back to just having more privacy, more land. I miss the backyard and front yard. So anyway, we made an offer of a house in Monterey, and we didn't get it, thankfully. And my husband constantly looking on online, and then he saw, oh, there's this, look at this charming home. I mean, it's in the country, and we see there is quite a lot of oak trees and land. So I drove right away on my own. As soon as I walked in or get out of my car, I saw a pile of firewood, and that's one check. That's like, we love it. And the second thing, I just walked around outside and we saw the view, and I instantly fell in love with it. I FaceTimed with my husband. And then as soon as I walked in, we know this house wasn't perfect. We call it the choo-choo train house because it's one long house. It's like from one end to the other, it'll take you a few minutes most probably. But as soon as I look at this baby right here, wood fire stove insert, I just, this is it. We made an offer the afternoon of, and we closed within 8 days. So it was truly love at first sight. I always tell people how much I love this house. I love my house. I love my house. And for some people, this is nothing. This is just like a ranch style house from 1970s. But this house is not perfect, but it is perfect for us. We've been together for 30 years. What inspired us is my mom and dad. I call them the Loro Blogno. Loro Blogno means the inseparable couple. They were together for 65 years. Almost 66 years. My dad actually just passed away. When I say just, it's been 16 months. So it's still raw, and they inspire me. Their love for each other inspire me. How they love us and accepted my husband just as one of their son or their son-in-laws. But also where I was born in Indonesia, and my travel as far as where I live in Switzerland and in France in my past, the whole East-West thing, just experiences in life inspire me. So welcome to what I personally call the great room. My husband was being ironic and always sarcastic. That's his sense of humor, and he always calls it the Grand Chateau, which is funny because there's nothing chateau-ish about it, about this room. So what do I want to point out about this room? First of all, I love the insert stove, the stove insert for the fireplace. This is the heart of the home. I found this and it's just perfect. And it always looks like it's smiling. This is where my husband and I, on cold days, always just sit down here, have our cocktails, or when we have guests, that's where we have them over. And what I also want to point out is this amazing pattern. It is a pattern from my childhood memory, and that's how I put my stamp in the house, one way of doing it. It's what every child in Indonesia was taught to do pattern when we had our arts class and drawings. And what's interesting is this last trip, because we live both in Bali and here, we went to Java to get a reading based on our Javanese market calendar. And we learned, and I didn't know this before all my life, that based on my husband's birthday, that is his pattern in the Javanese, what they call Prambon calendar. And guess what I found right here? It is amazing. A batik that also has his pattern, and the color is amazing. And for me, that's just serendipity in design. The sofa and the chairs I got from Cherish, one of my favorites. And Anna is fabulous, if you know Anna Brockway. But this sofa and chairs we refurbish. We add, proper paddings and whatever needs to be upgraded, and then cover it. And this is one of my favorite fabrics from Schumacher, and my husband decided to have this colorways, and I'm so proud of him. This chairs, I love, again, it was during the pandemic, I love vintage items, I don't want to buy new stuff, so I found it on Cherish, but I want to engage my husband, because this is also his house, to choose the color scheme, what makes him happy. And so the same way I work with my clients, I want to make sure that they like it, they enjoy it, and it is their home. So I engaged my husband as to what color scheme he wanted. Originally, actually, believe it or not, I'm not known to be a neutral person, but this house called for some neutrality or a neutral scheme. But I was so surprised when he picked out brighter colors. This is my own design book that was just published by Flammarion recently, and the cover is done by de Gournay. My memory at the Carlisle, that's the only hotel I ever stayed in New York. And you see more books and books and books. Givenchy's right there, there's Audrey Hepburn also. And some, that's my late mother-in-law, Stephen's mom. And our old, one of the first few dates we had was probably, or first few years of our relationship in Carmel. So this is a very, very important part of the world for us. Coming here to the dining table and dining chairs. The dining table I found in Bali, but it's from Java. It's a Javanese Dutch colonial style. The legs are beautiful and a marble top. And it always reminds me of my grandma, because when we used to go to cafes or restaurants with my parents and my grandma and my family, these are sort of the style of tables that we found in Java, all over Java. I have an amazing story about these chairs, this dining room chairs. I have a set of 8. They're actually gifted to us by a very generous couple, clients of mine. I used to be their florist. I used to go into their home that was designed by Julia Morgans in San Francisco. And later I became their interior designer. And at some point, they moved to Idaho, and they didn't need this chairs anymore because the house they wanted was completely different style from the one in San Francisco. These chairs were actually acquired by them at Christie's Monaco, I believe, and they used to be owned by Karl Lagerfeld. How amazing is that? And the fabric is made from horsehair. Love the details and the hooves. I believe this is from the 1800s. I have the exact provenance information, but that's pretty much what I can tell you right now, but it's still in the original condition. The fabric's been changed, by the way. But I love how they go, just the perfect curve that goes with my dining table here. Moving on to the window treatment. This fabric, actually it's called Andy from the Sisters collection that I designed for a company called Ellis Dunn. It's a woman-owned small boutique fabric company. Mary, my dear friend who owns Ellis Dunn, asked me to design their first pattern collection. They used to only have like grounds and plain neutral fabrics. So this is inspired by a set of women that I admire. So I love strong women. I wouldn't be here without women. And I was raised by a lot of women in my life, and I named this after one of my friends. I believe this is iris linen that they printed, but with has a little metallic. I love the chartreuse. I love the French gray, so the combination works really well. And the trim, I believe, is Schumacher. I'd better confirm that. I think it is, but I love the embroidery, and it just works perfectly with my Schumacher chairs. And this French daybed is where I actually lounge when I have cocktails by myself while my husband is cooking for me. First of all, I want to talk about this Art Deco style furniture that I actually found in California that's been refinished, and I put in my favorite elephants, doorknobs that's given from our fairy godson, Sean. But this furniture was made in my mom's hometown in East Java. So just by chance, I found this, and when I heard the origins of this furniture, I just fell in love with it. Because that's the thing about me. When I select things, especially for myself, they have to speak to me in a sentimental or romantic way. And I love finding furniture that was made in my mom's hometown, but I found it in California. I love bust. They just, to me, they're the classic elements, but I'm obsessed with them. And this is only partial collection here. I have 10,000 square feet warehouse that I store all my stuff, and I have more busts in the office in the warehouse. The mirror I found with Judith, my general manager, who's like my sister, in Pamplona, right before the pandemic. It's maybe one of the oldest thing that I own here. It's from France. I believe it's from 17 or 1800. The same with the barometer that actually I got from a dealer in San Francisco, Antiques Art and Exchange, one of my favorites, Howard and Keith, the best. I've known them for decades. What else can I tell you here? Our wedding picture, when I took his picture while he was being taken a picture of by a photographer, his younger picture, and here you must wonder what this is all about. I like to create stories, and one of my host moms is from Italy, and this map of Rome is over 200 years, and I just create like sort of my own family, my found family, and I love intaglios. What a gorgeous man, look at that, and just how people used to dress. This is also so cute, a boy in a cape. And this is also, maybe this is the oldest art or item that I own. It's from the 1600s. Look at how, in a way, it's very, very crude, very, just very simple. And this, two things. First, I'm obsessed with out of Africa, but these are not African elephants. These are our adopted Sumatran elephants that we support in a sanctuary in Sumatra, and when they were babies. So if you later on you'll see throughout the house, you will see I have lots and lots of elephant figurines and sculptures from this tiny to this big. Oh, there's one of them. What else can I tell you? This is from an English train station, I believe also from the 1800s, So we just put candles up there. Another Louis Philippe old mirrors that I found also in Spain. This or two are Balinese temples artifact that I found and ship them here. I just found this 1845 Victorian, either a child's or little lady's chair, perfect for my footstool or just when I work with the fireplace. Let's turn around here and look at this. I call this my Balinese wall. Everything from here is from Bali. The art that I collected, with the exception of this two, I found this in Carmel Valley actually. But the color scheme works. I love this. I have a lot of memories and stories about each one of them. The rice paddy farmer makes me just think of my hometown and my home country where I grew up. These two were at the Aman resorts done by orphans that we supported. They are mute and deaf orphans that's raised by an orphanage that we support, as well as they were our 20th anniversary, my generous clients. They gifted us a trip as our 20th anniversary, which was 10 years ago. A trip to Amandari. If you don't know the Aman resorts, you should check it out. We are a bit of an Aman junkie. There are about only 28 or 30 in the world, and we've been to maybe half. Ed Tuttle was the famous architect and designer, and unfortunately he passed away, and I wrote about him actually in one of my lifestyle journal called Di Sini Di Sana. But so we purchased this in their names, but we love them and we kept them. And it's interesting because this was both painted by two teenager boys, and he was at the time a dancer, or they both were dancers as part of just cultural education, and just culturally that's what they do. They raise everybody to be dancers or musicians. And because they're orphans, one of them told me that he titled this Mother and Daughter, and just broke my heart, and just very, very important and sentimental to us, and just we love to support orphans or people, children who are in needs, or people with disabilities. And his best friend painted next to him just the opposite of the mood of this. It's very happy and very whimsical. The rest are from local artists in Bali. This is by the same artist that I found at the Oberoi. I can't remember his name. It's written somewhere here, Nyoman Armadi. But just very intricate and just local scenery. This is a sentimental one because this I purchased as I was holding my mom's hand, walking for a brunch after our oldest fairy godson got married at the Four Seasons Jimbaran in Bali. And we're just walking in hands, and the artist in residence was actually painting this. And I asked him, oh my gosh, what is this title? As he was painting, and he said, Playing with Mother. I was just like, what? I was sobbing, and I had to have it, and I carried it myself. And my husband chose this hand-carved mask, traditional mask from Bali that's gilded, and ever since, I don't know how long, we've had them, maybe over 20 years. The entry, gosh, where do I start? A pub table, 1700 from England, that has the original leather top, embossed, with heavy ironwork at the bottom. My elephants, more elephants. This is where we put our keys and hats and stuff, and just a collection of paintings and portraiture. One is gifted from our dear friend's mom, who's no longer with us. She was a painter. The rest I found, I just fell in love with her. These are the reproduction of a photograph of Lady Rose that she gave us permission to use during my decorative showcase in 2019 in San Francisco. I used the wallpaper the Gournay made after Lady Rose. She is the Marchioness of Houghton or Norfolk in England. And she found a scroll of unused wallpaper in the attic from, I believe, 200 years ago. So de Gournay did the copy or the reproduction, hand painted, everything's done the traditional way. And I was the first to use that pattern, the Houghton Hall pattern, in my showcase. So I just love her. She was a model, she's gorgeous, she is one of my muses, and just works perfectly here. Our collection of canes, this is actually Stephen's grandpa and later used by his late dad, and most probably someday it'll be ours. But I just love all these different umbrellas and canes. Another de Gournay, I'm obsessed with de Gournay umbrella. But look at the elephant, isn't that cool? During the renovation, which almost took a year, we actually lived in the house. It was during the pandemic, we just moved from room to room to room. My husband essentially almost divorced me at the end, and like the last week, it was his push. He said, and I'll go back to what we did. He said, if you're not done by this week, I'm moving into the hotel down the hill. So we actually did everything from the hardwood floor, all the windows and the doors, interior and exterior. We basically gutted the house with the exception of this room. Because we love the beams, we love the natural wood. All of this we didn't touch, but I had an artist hand painted this pattern. The kitchen, we kept the cabinetry, but we did the countertops. We got a new, that itself was a nightmare. A smeg, it was a cute, it's a cute stove, cute color, but they sent us the wrong size. So imagine after waiting for 3 months for the stuff to arrive, they send a bigger size, so we have to wait for another 3 months. What I want to point out here is this amazing antique Chinese fishing basket. I turned them into pendants, and that's just how I like things. You know, we don't have a perfect kitchen. It is how we found it, the layout. We redid the cabinetry, the glass cabinet, the countertops from Da Vinci marble. Love the stove that gave me a lot of trouble because it was during the pandemic. We waited for 3 months, smeg. We love the color. Again, I repeated the hand-painted pattern there on the backsplash under the hood. We love the window. This is very Carmel Valley where we could put planters and oil lamp. Sometimes we have power outage here and we use the oil lamps. I love this French pot rack that I found, and the color is perfect, and everything else just either my fondue pot that we used last night and my husband's antique copper collections. By the way, you've noticed this most probably. Not only it matches my interior here, but this is my late dad's favorite ring that he wore. He had a lot of collections, but this was one of his favorites, so I'm wearing it. I never took it off. So here's our hallway, and as I said earlier, this house is not perfect, but it's perfect for us. This is the entry door, so there is not really a reception area. We did think about adding an outdoor porch, but this is good enough for us. It works. This hallway used to have a laminate floor, and now we have put in French pavers, outdoor pavers that I use indoor, again from Da Vinci marble. All my husband collection of paintings he's collected. Before I met him, one was done by this lady who had like health issues, and she sold these paintings so she could have enough medical funds. And my husband's super sweet and he wanted to support her. Instead of putting crown molding, I had an artist hand painted the fretwork, and I found this corbels, an antique corbels that has similar patterns. They're not part of the house, but I just added them. I love adding things, fun objects, artifacts that go with my aesthetic or what I feel good about. I also found this tiny little Greek key that has this is the inspiration color for the door. It's not sweet. Benjamin Moore, I'll find you what the color, I think forest something. All right, but also in this hallway, besides painting all that, check this out. Here we go, Schumacher trim with Ellis Dunn fabrics. The trim has the identical pattern, and this is also the same fabrics, the gorgeous Irish linen ground that I designed pattern for Ellis Dunn. Laundry, which I'm not going to show you. That's our dirty laundry, literally. And this cabinet wasn't here. There was like this really funky, totally cottage farm style that's rickety and has like a chicken wire mesh, and it wasn't functional. I built this for two reasons. Three. One, I need the storage. Two, I have a collection. Some people call me Imelda. I have collections over 200 pair of shoes, and these two cabinets house part of it. The top part is my memorabilia and old photographs that I organize here. There's a medicine cabinet up on top. I'm not gonna open it, but the linens looks pretty decent. There you go. You can see that. And I'll just show you a real quick collection of the shoes, partially. And candles. Okay, and I have spaced it just right so it can house my, I believe this is from Sumba, an antique carving. I don't have a specific style, but one thing I know, the title of my book is, I can see it from here, it's called Currently Classic. That is the formal style. What I like about my style is typically it's always classic. You can't pinpoint what period, or I don't follow the trends. I don't, I don't like when I see a style and say, oh yeah, we designed that in 1985 or 1990s or mid-century or all Art Deco. I like the house to reflect the style of the owners, not my style. Of course, I'm the designer. I will guide them through the process, and I will always tell them what works, what doesn't work, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But typically, if you have to classify one style, it is my style. It's currently classic. It's always classic. It's always current. We are in 2024. We don't want a house that looks like a museum. We don't want a period house. I want it to be comfortable for the owner. And I've also been dubbed as the master of mixing the East and the West, because I was born in the East, but I grew up and live in the West, and now I'm actually splitting my time. We call ourselves the Californians, so we live part-time in California, part-time in Bali, so we go back and forth. But all the interiors and the design and the decorations is a combination of what we've collected throughout our life, be it from our travel, from our family, and from our anniversary gifts, whatever it is. I don't like a designed home, period, anyway, personally. I don't like to go into a house like, oh yes, this is designed by such and such, or that whole contrived matchy-matchy, or like, I know some people are super symmetrical. I have clients who go crazy if I do something that's non-symmetrical. If I put this chair here and the other chair looks different, or a different style of chair, that would just drive her crazy. She likes two commodes, blah, blah, blah. And I will respect that. But as far as for my own house, I don't try to design it. I design from the heart, and that's my style. What feels good to me, what looks good, and what makes my husband happy, that's my style. This is my pattern room. I'm an island boy at heart, no matter where I go. So the island, when I can't find an island or tropical things, I created my own. So this room is inspired by my home country, Indonesia, Bali, Java, where my parents are from. So the wallpaper is Thibaut, including the one in the ceiling. The copper caning work is from Bali, that's handmade. The vanity is one of my favorite furniture in the house. It's an old antique commode from Java that I converted into vanity. The top marble is original. We did a cutout for the waterworks sink, but we added this shelving marble. But everything else is original, including the beveled mirror. I want to just point out something to you about Waterworks Live finish here. This is one of my favorite fixtures. A lot of people mind, they want that pristine brass look. I actually don't mind it at all. I love the patina. It just continues to patina as we use them, and that's just, for me, that's real life. And I love antiques, so why not? And I'm not one of those designers who like matchy-matchy, who love matchy-matchy. I mix, this is all around bronze, there's brass, and there's white finishes. The tile It's also from Da Vinci, but it is inspired by the island life. There's a beautiful antique Venetian mirror that's in the shape of pineapple. Pineapple is a sign of a symbol of hospitality, so I love it. And this is where my guests go to use the pad room. So welcome to your room, because if you're staying with me, this would be your room. The first thing I want to point out is these two things. One is the wallpaper, which is Thibaut. I like to give my client options. In this case, my husband is my client. And he chose this Thibaut wallpaper for the color scheme, the pattern, everything about it he loved. But lo and behold, when we were moving, I found this batik hand-painted fabric that he bought one of the first trip he went to Indonesia, maybe in 1995. And I cannot believe how they just complement each other almost perfectly. Not almost, it means perfectly. These two cocks, roosters, we bought them because they're cheesy mid-century things that reminded my husband Steve of his own identical ones when they grew up, but they're not the original. Anyway, again, I like to create a story in every room. But some stories truly are real. One of them is that. But another thing I want to point out is this duvet cover. It's an antique fabric that I found from France, but it's made by Judith. Judith is my general manager that you know, who's like part of the family, like my sister. And we didn't have enough fabric for the other side, and we got this fabric from Otis Textile. The rest, just things I found. This is a gift again from a different client. Can you imagine? This used to be a pillow for the Chinese from over 100 or 200 years ago, a woven hard pillow. That's how people used to sleep. This is hand knitted and given to us by, we call her Aunt Loretta, who just passed away last year. Aunt Loretta is the aunt of my dear, dear friend who's like family, Bob. And we call this room Bob's room or Judith's room, depending who spent the night here. But this means so much to us. And she was ahead of her time. When people used to look at us funny just because we're two men, she just simply loved us and embraced us. And this is her gift from many, many years ago. The bed, I had to fight my husband and the dresser. He loved the set. It used to be our bed in our place in the Bay Area, but he refused to give them away or sell them. So I would have had a upholstered bed, but he loved this set, so I have to compromise, right? A good compromise. The chest, the cedar chest inside is lined with cedar, was commissioned by my late father-in-law, Stephen's father. And now it has all my sweaters and Stephen's, I mean, not all, but some. And this top part, the antique treasure English treasure box. This is where I house all my, not all, some part of my dad's belongings and memorabilia, his old wallets, letters, pictures, handkerchiefs. So after they both passed away, this is where we keep our dad's memory. Same thing with this silly. It's nothing fancy. It's actually maybe from the 50s or 60s side table. This belongs to Stephen's family. So we kept it. I love chinoiserie, and look at, more is never enough. This, I believe it's Décor de Paris. If I'm wrong, forgive me. It might be Samuel & Sons. No, this is Décor de Paris. This is Samuel & Sons, I believe. And the lamp was made from an antique tea canister that I found and converted into a lamp. Besides being a guest room, this is also my dressing room or my closet in this house. So I'm not going to open that nightmare, what's the inside. But this is where I dress, so mirrors everywhere. One of my most valuable, because I am crazy and sentimental, is this chair. It's been reupholstered with beautiful linen, but it's one of the oldest chairs we own also from the 1800s, George III's from Scotland. I know the dealer. She used to live there, but she's now in Carmel. I have another one in different shape and fabric in my primary bedroom. But check out this. I love elephants, and check out this antique little baby. How she or he's all beat up, but I love it. Pictures of our friends, loved ones, fairy godchildren. They all house their house in this room. Books and books, some more books. Both his and mine. This is a beautiful, beautiful French gilded mirror that I found. So I would dress here, get ready and stuff. And this photograph is crazy. I never really had proper photograph of my grandma and grandpa. So in a way, they are not my grandma and grandpa. They're complete strangers. My dear friend found this and give it to me, and her friend actually was the one actually found it in a town that's not too far from my grandpa and grandma's village from Yogyakarta, and they live. Yogyakarta is a famous town because it's near one of the 8 wonders of the world, Borobudur Temple, and that's where my grandparents are from, not too far from there. And for me, they're just my adopted grandparents. At some point, I turned it into an artwork on a plexi, and I call it Eternity's Too Short, Eternity is Not Long Enough. I'd like to imagine that somehow they're still together. Judith also did this, did all the treatment. She helped me with projects sometimes. As general manager or project manager, she's also very, very crafty. What I love about this house, as I mentioned earlier, all the French doors, and almost every room has this doors that you can open and look at the outdoor, and sometimes guests could just have coffee or just hang out and have some peaceful time. I have to point out the fabric again. It's from Ellis Dunn. This is actually the Belgian linens that I love so much. I love the thickness, and it has grove grains that's sewn into this fabric as a pattern as part of the sister collections also. Alrighty. Next, I'm going to take you to the mystery or the mysterious bathroom that used to be, and it used to relate to this room where this bookshelf is now. There used to be a door here, and I will tell you more about that bathroom, which is now our primary bathroom. It was so odd and weird when we found this house, but now we've made it work for us. There is one funny story about the bathroom. Our master bathroom now, we have a tub, double sink, and a wet room, basically a shower. But before that, which I will point it out to you, that was like the mystery, Winchester Mystery House. That bathroom has 2 doors, imagine this. 2 doors from one room, but it's not like Jack and Jill doors. It's like one on one side, the other one's on the side wall. There are 2 vanities, separated, 2 toilets, and a tub in the middle. This is really funny, but we could basically hold hands if we sit down on our thrones. Welcome to what I used to call the mystery bathroom. This is one opening that we kept. The other opening behind the bookshelf earlier I told you about, we closed it. So we converted this into our primary bathroom because it's closer to our primary bedroom and my husband's office now. So we built this custom double sink with a tower, which is super practical for us. We have lots of makeups. No, I'm kidding. Just a lot of skin products and stuff. I love the marble. I like my bathroom to feel like spa-like because I'm a bit of a spa junkie as well as an almond junkie. I love my almond candles. You should check it out. Anyway, but this marble, it's called, I believe, it's not Giorgio Armani, but Grigio Armani or Armani Grigio, one of them. Same with the taps, the plumbing fixtures from Waterworks has a live brass finish, and it continues to patina. I actually love the verdigris accents as it develops patina. So as I'm one of those people, this is too much information maybe, but some people take a bath and they dry off. I just want to rinse off because I don't want that soapy water on me. So I love the exposed shower head from also Waterworks, all from the same collection. But one more thing, check this out. I'm just gonna walk to my Voila. And another part of the bathroom that I love, besides the heated floor, I have an automatic Toto, very hygienic and self-flush, and I don't have to touch the lid, just opens on itself. Also, the seat is heated. I'm not a modern person, I always like some romance, so guess what? I found an antique screen from Shanghai, from China, and I just placed that outside of my bathroom, and I can look out through my garden but still have some privacy, and I have a bit of a fern garden out there, as well as a French giant capital sculpture. So just love the calm spa-like, but still has some personalities. So welcome to our office, but before we talk about this part of the office, let's talk about this corner a little bit, which is full of memorabilia, etc., etc. This corner is our dressing corner for a few reasons. We have our Steven's dad's commode here, and we put our sunglasses and cufflinks and buttons and pins stuff here. But also what's here is sort of like his dad's side of the family memory. His great uncle is actually, or was, the governor and senator of Iowa. And whenever we went to Iowa, they always treat us with a very important person. They used to take us to the Capitol and showed the First Lady ball gown then, etc. That's his dad's, super handsome. He was, I believe, in the Army. God, I hope I was right. My husband was in the Air Force. But all this campaign buttons from as far as from the 1800s, I believe, is a collection of his family. And just love to put them in one corner from this antique cabinet I found in Bali also. And this portrait of me, here I'm being shy again, is actually done by a known illustrator. His name is Marc-Antoine Coulon, and he was introduced to me by my publisher in France, Flammarion, who published my book. So this is done for my design book. This mirror is really hard to find now. I found it from Antique Art Exchange. This is our full dressed, full height length of dressing mirror. More gift from Gladys Perrin Palmer. I feel honored because she did silhouettes of, good Lord, from Lady Di to Dior, Givenchy, Yves Saint Laurent, and now I have my own from Gladys Perrin Palmer. Thank you, Gladys. As you know, I love fretwork and patterns and geometrical, and I did this for our office, this pattern, and I love it for the ceiling instead of one boring painted ceiling. Check out my jute rug, hand woven. It works perfectly for this hallway, for the width, the length, everything. But if you know what they are, you're gonna laugh. They are actually from Serena and Lily, and they're table runners, and I use them as rugs. Isn't that fun? Here is the actual office, but first, before I point anything out, this is one of the reasons why we fell in love with this property and the house, because of the view. And you'll see more from my primary bedroom. That's where we added the patio outside in a cobblestone mismatched pattern, and I did a fire pit to just hang out and have picnics or sunset sippy. And so this is our partner's desk. That's my side. It says the doctor's in. That's his facing. His side is here. But each of us has our own paperwork and stuff, and I still write, and I'll show you more of my writing desk in the other room. I call this wall the wall of the dead, or it's nicer when I say it's the dearly departed wall. And this is mostly Stephen's ancestors, literally, mom and dad, his mom, his great-great-great uncle, I don't know how many, and great-great-great grandmother. And we both love Lincoln, and I found this from the antique show. I can't remember the original but this is already the antique of the repro of the painting or the print. So I found this in its condition. By the way, I'm not responsible for this. Happy husband, happy life. So this is all his equipment. I fought and fought and fought, but he has to have it. Everybody said that looks like Steven. You can be the judge. But I just kept it just because it's super fun. Love the convex mirror. Again, more. These are adopted families, and I got him because he looks so much like my co-author or the author that did the text for my book. His name is Dean Reese Morgan. And he reminds me so much of him, so I just have to have him. Steven's dad, high school picture, so hot. And more of family pictures. And this is just a print that we found. Again, it reminded Steven of his childhood. He used to have that. This chair is very special. This chair it belongs to Steven's parents that are recovered, and also one of my fabric designs for Ellis Dunn. It's named after my late sister, and it's a Javanese pattern that I stripped down to be less ornate. So this is one of the collections I did for Ellis Dunn from the Sisters collection. Now this is my new collection with her, Ellis Dunn, but it's called the Brothers collection, inspired by the men in my life that inspired me. Welcome to our primary bedroom. There's so much to tell here. Let's start with this corner. This is our little bar cart or bar tray for our quick, sunset when we're too lazy to go to the other bar or go to the dining room. We have a quick, scotch or cognac or rum here. I found this. Check this out. I have dimples. When I was a kid, they used to make fun of me because in my home country, only girls are supposed to have dimples, but how am I supposed to choose, right? So I found this bottle that says dimple, just a reminder of my childhood. This is a gift from a client. I love it. In this corner, just a collection of where I'm from. I was born in Sumatra, right here in old antique maps. That Sumatra, nobody knows where Sumatra is. It's close to Singapore. Australia is down there. But Krakatoa, the giant volcano that erupted in the 1800s, was about 150 miles away from my hometown. An old antique map of Switzerland. I went to school there. Just our memorabilia from Java and Bali, mass gift from loved ones. While we are here, let's talk quickly about this amazing secretary desk, a Swedish antiques secretary desk that has, check this out, lined with burled wood. Every single drawer, I don't know how many, I haven't counted yet, has a lot of memories from my travel or letters from my mom and dad, old tickets. I still write letters, so all my letters or letterheads collections here from hotels or my own. So this corner is super sentimental. Our pictures from 30 years ago, me in a Balinese outfit. You really want to know how my husband feels about me? It's right here. How cute is this? This is when he was a kid. Oh my gosh. I love this picture of him. I can't be responsible for this part of the bed. Again, I married a straight man right here with all the equipment, vintage equipment for the music. But I love this French dresser that I also found from Antique Art and Exchange. My husband is crazy about perfume and cologne, and this is only partial collection. He owns literally maybe close to 200 perfume. This bed, it's an old church pew, antique church pew, they're English or American, that has two angels. And it opens as storage. So storage is a plus. But what I fell in love with is this scroll, more importantly, the two angels. I asked my dear friend, Julie, stones to gild the wings. When I acquired this bed, there were only my late sister who passed away, and I wrote a memoir about her. And that represents her, and the other side represents Stephen's mom, late mom. Now they just represent people who already departed, and we miss them, we love them. So they're like our guardian angels here. The headboard is not matching with the bed. That bed frame is a hand-carved Javanese bed frame, again from my mom's village in East Java, but I found it here in California. The fact that they fit perfectly, I am amazed, and they mean something to me, so that's why I love it. Another duvet cover from antique fabric that is handmade by my dear Judith. This decorative pillow cushion is from lumbar from my fabric collection with Ellis Dunn. Every day when I make the bed, I make my bed every day. I leave love notes for my husband, like marble heart, and this one is from the Raffles in Singapore. I love what it says. It is not where you are, but who you are with that matters. I think that's super sweet. And every day I change different notes, or sometimes I just write my own love notes. Vintage light fixture, ceiling fixture here. It's the sun. I just loved it. I don't know what the origin. I think it's Italian, but I found it in California. It just works really well with my Balinese scenery wallpaper. These two chairs mismatched, but I love them. Work perfectly. The tufted leather vintage chair. This is where we sit down every morning and just to have coffee, lounge, we bicker, we exchange ideas, we reminisce or listen to music. Or if you turn around, we watch sunset when it's too cold or it's too foggy or cloudy or rainy. The next thing I want to talk about is two things. One is that chair, that one was in the guest room, but this is the other one. They don't exactly match. The fabric's definitely different, but it's from Scotland, 1845, George III. The fabric just has an accent here is from a gift from my childhood doctor's wife from my hometown when I saw her last with my mom and dad just during the pandemic. She brought it from my home province in Sumatra in Lampung, and just means so much to me. There is this antique Balinese hand carved. Look at how intricate the carving, but the color is absolutely beautiful, and this is what inspired the coloring off. If you turn around here, that you see, you cannot miss this wallpaper. This wallpaper is bespoke, hand-painted by de Gournay, as everybody knows what de Gournay is. I actually designed it for the San Francisco Fall Antique Show. I love all the details. I mean, super, super intricate, just like the carving. The gorgeous Balinese ladies, the monkeys, the statues, the fruits. We call this, I believe it's umbul umbul from the Balinese traditional handcrafts that they use for ceremonial days. Just like with everything else in this house, I just packed everything. More is never enough. This is my nightstand or my side of the bed. This is what inspired the wallpaper that I designed for de Gournay, and that's my mom and my dad. He always carried her purse. And this is what I witnessed all my life when I grew up. So they're always close to me. Before I forget, I want to point out this lamp that my husband refinished himself. This is his childhood nightstand lamp, and he refinished it. I put new shades, and that's sweet. So I kept it. I talked earlier about my late sister. This is her when she was a kid, and so they just this pictures all the loved ones stay next to me. This is maybe one of the most emotional portrait of my parents. Before my father passed away, during the pandemic, we had to cancel a trip. I lost by then maybe 12 family members to COVID. But the first time I could visit my mom and my dad with my husband, this was one of the first few nights we were with them, and my mom and dad always prayed every night and hold their hands. If tonight my mom prayed, the next night's my dad, they take turn. As soon as they say amen, they would kiss each other, and I caught a glimpse of them kissing each other in my memory of my childhood, so I took a snap. After my father passed away, my amazing sweetheart, she's also part of the family, Monica has been with me for almost 20 years. And after my father passed away, she made this from my Instagram. She converted this into a canvas portrait as a Christmas gift. And lo and behold, the same day I opened that gift, another gift arrived from Ireland. My friend, an artist in Ireland, who made an art out of my parents' hands clasping together as they were praying from the same portrait of Instagram. So Monica did their face kissing, and my friend in Ireland, and Monica is here in California, did their hands together. How crazy is that? A home for me is where Stephen is. Stephen is my husband, and especially his arms. But for me, a home is where I truly feel comfortable. Home is where I don't have to walk on eggshells, and that's the same thing what I tell my staff. This is my second home. It's my business. I don't want to walk on eggshells, and there's no eggshells in this house, and I just feel completely at ease. And home is also a place where I want to bring the people that I enjoy to be with and my loved ones to share the moments. That's how I feel about what a home is.
Hi Homeworthy, welcome to my home in Pacific Grove. I'm Erin Conway. Let me show you around.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Before today's episode, click the join button below to support all of the storytelling we do on this channel. Our growing community of members help to directly fund more videos so we can capture these extraordinary homes from around the world. So join today to receive early and exclusive access to new Homeworthy videos.
Hi, I'm Erin Conway. I run the website Kismet House as well as the social channels Kismet House, where I document our home renovations and design. I am also an interior designer, and I work with local clients as well as virtual clients. So we live in the town of Pacific Grove, which is a tiny little town on the Monterey Peninsula. It is almost overlooked because it's sandwiched between Pebble Beach and Monterey, which are more famous. It's a quaint, amazing little spot. And our home is a 1909 Victorian vernacular, which I did not know what vernacular was, but essentially it means it kind of adopted all these different looks from that era of build. So it's Victorian and lots of different little things. But it's a historic home. There's a lot of those around here in our little town. The story of finding this home, we actually found our way here by chance. We owned a home less than a mile away in the same town that we purchased because we were just desperate to purchase something, and we found a house in dire need of help, and the home nobody else wanted, essentially. And purchased that and fixed it up, and that's kind of how Kismet House came to be. We documented the process of renovating that property. And because the way we found that home was we just want to buy property, it didn't really matter that it didn't have everything we needed. It just was a way to get our foot in the door here. And then I was driving home from a yoga class, and I took a route I don't usually take, which was down our street that this home is on. And I saw a for sale sign on this home, which was much more my style, historic, charming, and we were in a very like 70s modern. And so I was like, well, let's just see if it would be possible to afford this home if we sold our home for the right number. So we weren't even looking. It wasn't the intention, and it was because of the other home that we were able to make the jump here. When I first saw it, I immediately called my husband. I pulled over in front of the house. I made a call to my husband and I said, hey, can you contact Charlotte, that's our real estate agent, and see if she could meet us today to walk through this home? He's like, what are you talking about? Like, what's even happening? And I was like, it's so beautiful. I feel like it could be amazing. We just need to see inside and see if it's got potential. Because we're always on the hunt for fixers. We like to put our stamp on it, and we don't like it already ready to go home. And on the outside, super cute and charming, didn't know what the inside had in store. But then once we toured it, I knew that day that we wanted to see if it was going to be possible to let the other home go to make this home happen. It's an interesting thing because when I shared that we were considering moving with my audience on social media, we were told we were insane repeatedly because we had put so much work into our prior home to make it just right. And this home needed everything. While on the outside, it was this beautiful, charming, historic home. On the inside, it was just a lot of, this was done in the 90s, this was done in the 70s, this was done in the 80s. All of the original charm was hiding underneath these renovations that happened, and you could tell what era they belonged in just because of the style of the renovation. So there wasn't any space in the home that didn't need to be renovated. So there was a lot of work to be done, but we were up for the challenge. We have done extensive renovations in this home. So we really wanted to honor the fact that it is a 1909 historic home with Victorian elements. And all of those charming details were hidden, so we made it our mission to kind of bring them back. So to my right, you can't see them from where I'm sitting, but there is a set of pocket doors. They had been boarded up. On one side, it was paneling. On the other, it was a bookshelf. And I could tell just by the cuts of the woodwork that there used to be doors there. It just made a lot more sense for the flow of the home. So opening those back up and restoring those, the floors had been covered in a laminate. So we removed the laminate and restored wood. The plaster was crumbling where it was still there, or there was paneling in place. So restoring the plaster, restoring crown molding details that would have been there. It was just a lot of what would have been here, what is appropriate to be here, and bringing that back. So while there isn't a ton of original detail in the home, our hope is that when you come into the home, that's not the case, that you come into the home and you feel like you are in a 1909 home. Welcome to our entryway. I love this little space because in our prior homes, we never had a proper entryway, and we live somewhere coastal where it's a bit misty and can be very wet. So having a place to drop the shoes, drop the rain jackets is very exciting for us. We did a lot of work in this space. It was funny, someone had mentioned, they're like, oh, the power of paint, as if that's all it took. And I wish that was, but we had to take down the walls to the studs because the plaster was crumbling and in really bad repair, and we replaced the plaster. We were able to salvage the original little button knobs here, which is very cool. It is the original front door and the original moldings except for the top. The dentil molding we actually added ourselves just to give it a little bit more presence and height. Additionally, in this area, we totally changed the floors. So the home had fir floors that we tried very, very hard to salvage. We lifted the laminates, found the original fir floors, but they were in horrific shape. We actually brought in a salvage team and they were like, they're just too far gone. So because we got to put new wood floors down, I wanted to make the entryway feel special, which is why we did this pattern. It's actually called a Versailles pattern, and it's a woven wood, and I love it. I think it's so special. And then our staircase actually ended right here at this wall, but we extended the last 3 steps to go beyond so we could have this teeny little newel post and banister. My husband thought I was nuts because it's such a small change, but I feel like it gives so much charm to this little space. And we did it this fun contrast trim blue, so it still feels light and bright, but it just kind of lets you know when you walk into the home that it's just kind of a colorful, happy home. This is actually a picture. We decorated the home for Christmas our first year in it, and then I took this photo and sent that photo over to Minted, where they can actually create this black and white, looks like a sketch of your home. And it's such a neat thing to have because the exterior of the home is so cute and charming. So you walk in and you get to see this sweet little moment. This plant lives in all climates, 365 days a year, because it is plastic. I have a black thumb, so I have a combination of fresh flowers that I can keep alive for their 1 to 2 weeks, and faux foliage because I've tried and every plant I bring in dies, and so I just got tired of being the plant murderer of Congress Avenue. But I put this here just for a little pop of color because there isn't really anywhere you can add textiles or anything cool in this space. I didn't want to do a wallpaper because the wall carries up to the upstairs and I didn't know really where to draw the line, where it stopped and started. So this was kind of a fun moment to bring in a pop of color. And I like to have a dark black or wood in spaces just to ground it. And this it's this teeny little corner, but it's a place to throw your keys down, set your wallet, your sunglasses, and it's just a place to kind of establish that you're home. Okay, so you can see that this entryway splits into two. When we purchased the home, you can actually still see where the hardware was. This was being used as a bedroom, and so they had a door here. And we took that door off, and now you can go into one of 2 living spaces, and I'm going to take you into our family room. This room I call the pink room because I chose this really fun color by Farrow and Ball, Dead Salmon. Terrible name, which reminds me of a joke where there's 2 salmon. So we named a color after you. Oh, is it a beautiful shimmering blue? No, it's pink. Why is it pink? And so Dead Salmon is quite fitting. It's a little bit morbid, but it's a beautiful pink color. But this is the room, like I mentioned, they were using as a bedroom. So these are original pocket doors. Well, the original pocket, the door we actually had made because the doors were gone. So we had doors made to fit into the original pocket. But they had sealed it off and put a makeshift bookcase in this space. And I could tell from just the way that the moldings were cut and the weird depth of the bookcase that wasn't an original feature, that this was probably pocket doors. So within an hour of having the keys, we were breaking into that wall to see if there were pocket doors. We found the pockets and my delight was extreme. So we immediately were like, open it up. These are going to be 2 living spaces. This will be the more cozy family room space. So this room is quite cozy and petite, but it still fits a lot of great pieces, like this big comfy couch. I have a mix of high and low, new and old in here, things from vintage finds to Facebook Marketplace to Target, fancy little French boutique, Target. And I like to play with color, so I have the pink walls, the blue sofa, a green chaise. I'm not afraid of color, and this room is definitely a representation of that. So this is actually a mural from Anthropology. I saw it online. Someone had their dining room wallpapered in it, so they must have had multiple because it's only so large. Loved it. Might feel a little bit overwhelming to fill the room with the wallpaper, so I decided to use the ornate trim work around it to just kind of create a moment that would ultimately frame out the television. And so the trim work that you see on the wall is mirrored on the ceiling, none of which was here. Again, this room was a total renovation, as was every room. We took it down to the studs, redid the plaster, smooth coated, fixed the trim, and then added back in details that may have originally been here, like the molding details. So this was just a really fun way to play up what we added to the ceiling on the walls and just give this room kind of a grounding presence and wow without being overwhelming. This room is pretty much where my 12-year-old son spends most of his time watching sports. So we all hang out as a family in here. We'll do movie nights in here because it's a big couch that we can all kind of climb onto. But this room, my son is always in here with his squishmallows, watching sports. He calls it his living room. It's his favorite place to be in the house, but it's such a comfy space. So we usually all end up piling in here, but it's kind of Finn's room. Originally, when we did this room, I was trying to convince myself that I wanted a super duper modern light fixture to be a juxtaposition with the very ornate moldings. And I did that, and I didn't love it, and I kept trying to make myself love it, and it was very much a square peg round hole. And so when I found this Lucille fixture from Ballard Designs, I couldn't resist bringing it in. It feels like such a cool antique piece. It feels like it could be original to the home. It's just a showstopper. I don't think I've ever had someone new come to the home and not notice it. She's just a beauty. So I love it so much, and I'm glad that I let go of my need to have that super sleek modern fixture because this one's so pretty. This piece I have been carting around with me for a while. It is a Facebook Marketplace find that I got for $40. I love it so much. I think it's so charming. I love the detail work and the crystal knobs. It's just, it's been an entryway piece, it's been a TV console, it's been an actual dresser, but I just can't quit it. I just think it's so beautiful, and I can't get over the fact that I got it for $40. And I also tell everyone that. I'm like, isn't it beautiful? It was $40. It's just my pride and joy. And then beside it is this beautiful green chaise from River and Board in this beautiful thyme green with the fringe. This, I feel like my mom was guiding me with this purchase. This is so her, and I'm not usually a fringe girly, but I just fell in love with this piece, and I coveted it for a while. I kept it in the cart of my online shopping basket for months, and then finally for my birthday a couple of years ago, I said, fine, I'm doing it. I'm buying myself the chaise. And I did, and I love it so much. It's so comfy. It might not be the most practical piece of furniture, but it is my favorite piece in the house. And next to it is this gorgeous lamp that I scored at a vintage market. I walked in, within the first 30 seconds I saw it, picked it up, carried it to the front desk, and that was my shopping for that day. I was so excited about it. So I love this little corner, and I tend to be the one enjoying it, in addition to my 6-year-old daughter who also loves the chaise. So from this space, we open up right into the main living room, and then this little mirror on the wall is actually, I love it because when we purchased our prior home, it was in one of the bathrooms. It had kids' stickers all over it. The bathroom had like bamboo wallpaper. It was terrible. And so the mirror looked terrible in that space, but then once we took it down and cleaned it up, I was like, oh my gosh, I love that thing. It's actually really charming. So I just cart this around with me now. It's something that looked like a tear down from an old house, and now I just love it, and I think it's special. So it stays. It lives to fight another day. Now, right off of the family room, we have the living room. Realistically, these two rooms function very similarly. We have kids, so it's not like we use a space more formally and one more casually. Everything is used casually in this house. There's usually Legos on the coffee table. There's usually a dog draped across the sofa. So again, comfort was key, and playing with color was something I wanted to do, more so in the furnishings here, because we tried. We had green color wash in this room, but because it only has one set of bay windows that don't get morning light, it felt very cavernous. And so we went with this lighter toned stone hearth by Benjamin Moore, so we could still have some color and warmth and contrast, but it wouldn't feel so dark in here. My favorite piece, the piece de resistance in this room, is the fireplace. This was actually a 2-tiered wood Victorian mantle. It was very, very bulky, very awkward height, stopped about here, had columns, was really chunky, and I wanted to love it because it was original to the home. But after over a year of just trying different paint colors, different styling techniques, I couldn't love it. So we took it down very, very carefully. We sold it to someone who was putting it in a historic home, and they absolutely loved it. And then we found this particular mantle. It is a Victorian marble mantle from the late 1800s. It was in Smith College. It's named Otella because it's named after the first black student who went to Smith College. It's just a very cool piece with so much history. And if we were going to replace something historic that belonged in a historic home, we wanted to put something historic in its place and just honor the fact that we didn't want to just replace it with something new. So I love it. I think it's so beautiful. It's my favorite thing in the room. How would I describe my style when it comes to decor? I'm asked that a lot, and I tend to say collected, comfortable, cozy, traditional. So it changes. I think of interior design the way probably an artist would think of their painting, or a composer would think of their music, that it's always changing, you're always growing. It's not one consistent thing. You're learning and evolving. And so my home is that. It's always evolving. My style is always evolving. But I think the thing that always remains true is it feels layered and collected, like it has a story to tell. There are traditional elements and that warm and cozy. So I know that's not a design or decor a name, but that's really the best way I can describe my style. So this is an original bookcase to the home. It's in pretty rough shape, but I like all of its wonky details. However, the back is new because this lower portion used to have an arch cut out in the back wall where you could reach into the dining room through that lower portion, which is cool in theory, but in practice it always just looked really messy. And when we renovated the dining room and the kitchen later, it made more sense to just close that up. So we did a tongue and groove detail with warm wood just to kind of create a backdrop for pretty things that this changes out depending on colors in the room, season, things like that. So, but yeah, this is a cool original feature. It has glass doors actually, but the glass is quite old. And it was, all you could see was your reflection. So we actually removed the doors so you could actually enjoy the pretty things inside, but it's a cool original feature to the home. So, and then these windows are original to the home as well. You can actually still see the sash. They're non-operable, so we will have to update them someday. That's on the to-do list, but I just love the thick, chunky molding that is original. The moldings in here on the floor are actually original to the home. We were able to salvage them. So anywhere we add in molding, we have to kind of recreate that look of that big, thick, chunky. Like these were added in, but we needed to mirror what was here. And these baseboards were added in, but we needed to mirror what was here. And so that's been an interesting challenge to this house, where we have been able to salvage. It's only been in part, not in whole. And so when we do add in, we need to make it look like it was all salvaged and not piecemealed together. So that's been an interesting challenge, but a fun one. And then back here, it's just a little sofa console picture of my mom when she was a little girl. Just because I love all the women in that picture, they all look very, very tough. And I just love that. And then picture of my kids with it. And our comfy sofa. We use this room kind of the same way we use the other room, to watch family movies, to spend time together, play board games. It's just, we just do all of our living between these two spaces, the family room and the living room, and I love them. This coffee table is actually Amber Lewis for Anthropology. It's a beautiful, it looks almost like it could have been a salvaged piece, the way that they made it, the way that it's kind of put together. It's so heavy and substantial. I went back and forth with different coffee tables, and I finally just, because it's a little bit pricier, but I finally decided to splurge on it, and we've had it for years, and it's a beauty. And often the stage for my 6-year-old daughter doing ballet, so multifunctional. And then over here is this, I love this old cabinet. Again, in this house, it's high-low, old-new. This was a cabinet I found at a vintage store. I actually found it, fell in love with it, but did not have tape measure, didn't know if it would fit resisted the urge to impulse buy it anyway, and then could not stop thinking about it. So a month later, I was able to get back, and it was still there. And I took that as a sign, and I took it home, regardless of the dimensions, and just crossed my fingers that it would work. I did one of these, like, things, and it works. It's perfect. It's a perfect size. And now it's just another place to store toys, but looks really cute doing so, and has so much charm, and it's so beat up, and I just love that. This is not actually a original Monet painting. It is the frame television. My husband made this wood frame for us to help with the illusion that it is artwork. It fools people all the time, which is very, very cool, but more importantly, it's a great TV. Not sponsored by the frame, by the way. It's just a very solid television, great sound, great picture, love it. And when it's off, which is often, it gets to look like something pretty on the wall. I topped it to make it kind of, again, that illusion of its artwork with another piece of art. This was from my mom's collection. I actually got it after she passed, and it makes me smile when I see it, because I remember this time I was giving my mom a hard time because she always had botanicals all over the house. And she was like, look, Erin, botanicals are always in. And so when I see it, I hear her, and it makes me happy. This is actually another piece of hers. She got that when she was traveling in Europe. So my mom's kind of sprinkled all over this room. On the mantle, that's another one of her old botanicals. So she's here with me with her style. And then we have these two comfy velvet chairs from our house. They're the Abbott chair, and they're this delicious chocolate brown. I love them. They're so cozy and cool. I love the shape. I feel like they have this, there's such a statement without being like in your face. I love the rounded back, the rounded arms. They're petite, but they're still deep and comfortable. They're a great piece, and I love the deep chocolate brown color. So I think they have a lot of presence. So I think they're a very cool chair. I'm very big into lighting. I love lighting, love lamps, love multiple ways to light a space, from task to ambient. It's just, I think lighting is so important. We didn't run the electrical in this wall when we did the renovation and updated the plaster, which I regretted. So I got these cuties from Pookie, which are battery operated. So they can go anywhere without any hard wiring, but they're actually a really legit light option. They cast a great light, the light is warm, it doesn't look like LED battery, and now I can have my sconces without my hard wiring. And then the last light that I'd want to point out in here is the chandelier. It's this beautiful Leland chandelier from our house. It is absolutely the jewelry of the room. The reflection in the mirror, the way it has prisms and catches the light and has cast rainbows throughout the room at different points of the day. It's just such a statement, and so happy we put it in here. This room originally, though, looked very, very, very different. This wall was paneling, hiding the pocket doors. There were acoustic tiles on the ceiling. There were no molding details except for the base. This was a very, very small walkway right here with a closet. We had to gut everything down to the studs, re-insulate, replaster, smooth coat, paint, and then add moldings back in. So there's very little original to this space, but again, our hope in the restoration, renovation of this home is that when you come into the space, it feels like it was always this way. And then coming off of the living space as an entryway, we go into the kitchen through this big, beautiful arch that was not here. This was about the depth of the hallway before, and this was a closet door that had just shelves for coats and things like that. And it was just a teeny narrow hall. There was actually a drop ceiling in the hall. It was very, very dark, very strange, and really restricted the flow from kitchen dining to living space. And so when we decided to do the kitchen renovation, this was one of the first things I wanted to do, was to open this up to bring the spaces together and create some harmony between kitchen and living space. My favorite part about my home, I think, is the kitchen. We just completed a massive gut renovation of the kitchen. It was a very small, compartmentalized 90s renovation kitchen, and then a dining room that felt way oversized for the kitchen. And so we opened up the walls, put a steel beam in so we could connect the spaces, expanded the cabinetry, but again, tried to do it in a way that it felt like obviously this kitchen is new and just was done, but it feels very charming and homey and traditional and feels like it belongs in this home, not like, oh, this was done in 2008. So that is my favorite space. It's the heart of the home. We're always in there cooking as a family. When we entertain, that's where people gravitate towards. It's just a really happy space. I love this tall tower, is what they refer to it in the design world, this countertop cabinet. I feel like it feels like a piece of furniture. Again, this is a 1909 home and we're putting a brand new kitchen in it, so we wanted to bring in elements that made it feel a little bit more cozy and charming, things that maybe could have been here, or at least feel appropriate for the era of the home. And we felt like adding beautiful wood cabinetry, countertop cabinets would be a fun way to do that. And then we did an unlacquered hardware so it would tarnish over time just to give that element of age and hominess. These cabinets, I love them so much because I feel like they look very high-end, they're really beautiful, they function beautifully, but they are RTA cabinets, which means ready to assemble. You can only customize them to a point, and they come to you in parts and pieces and you build them yourself. However, they are solid wood. They are dovetailed solid wood. They're really, really, really high quality, but you can save dramatically on cost. And when you're doing a massive scale renovation, finding ways to save on cost is very important. So I love these for the fact that they look very high end, but are budget friendly. Some of my favorite features about it are the lighting, because I designed them. These are lights from a line that I got to design and create with Maxim, and I'm very, very proud of them. And a lot of things in the kitchen, I kept these lights in mind because I wanted them to feel at home in the space when it was done. So I'm very proud of those. And the kitchen, other than that, this is my baby. I am not a chef. I am a Trader Joe's, heated up in a pan, toast gal. But my husband is a chef. He is fantastic. He is such a great cook, and having 6 burners and a wider range was really important to him, and having something really beautiful was important to me, and we found this extremely beautiful functional option from Ilve and just love it. And it's kind of like the showpiece of the kitchen, which is why we made it such a focal point in this space. So above the range, we have this collection of copper pots. So I'm asked all the time, how do they function? Do they cook well? I don't know because they are decorative. I'm sure they function beautifully. I got them from Etsy. They are original copper pots. They're very, very old, but I really just wanted something to be a beautiful kind of piece of art in the kitchen. I'm sure they're functional, but I can't tell you from experience how well they function. Over on this side of the kitchen, it's the sink. A non-negotiable was a large, deep sink for washing dishes, setting platters down if we were to entertain, and I really wanted to do this fluted detail in the front just because it feels very charming, old school European cottage, and so I knew I wanted an apron front with this really beautiful fluted detail. And then something else we added is this heat vent down here. Instead of just having your classic heat vent, we went with a really decorative option so it could feel special. And then instead of doing a classic toe kick or place for your feet to go, we did a baseboard to make the cabinetry feel like furniture. Another way to kind of give that old, homey, warm feeling. And then again, unlacquered brass on this bridge faucet, so it's super tarnished, and I absolutely adore the fact that it's tarnished because, again, it gives that old, charming, lived-in element, which is super important to me in this home. This used to be actually a bumped out window with a ledge, and a vertical slider, like small rectangular window. So when we renovated, I opened up this huge hole in the wall so we could have these massive French windows. And I went with this petite frame because, again, charming, cottagey, old feeling to them. So I just feel like it's such a statement and it feels so special. And then this is what we call our butler's pantry. This is where all the snacks and kids' plates and Tupperwares and things like that live. As much as I love the idea of having glass front, open shelving, that wasn't reality for a home with 2 kids. But this actually used to act like a hallway that went into the guest room at the front of the house. And on this wall was hooks for pots and things like that. On this wall was just a kind of desktop with nothing underneath, and then some open shelves here, and then a tall, narrow cabinet here. It was very, very non-practical, not functional, and getting in and out of the guest room through this way was not a necessity at all. It's not something that it really elevated the function of our home. So when we renovated, we walled that off so we could create this wall of cabinetry and this really functional butler's pantry, which I love. It's our little coffee bar area. One of the lights from my line is in here. Did a fun wallpaper, or sweet wallpaper. And then I actually use these cutting boards for serving, prepping, hosting, but they function like art in the meantime. And then it gave us a place to kind of hide our microwave because it kind of hides in the darker lowers. But this pantry, I'll come out of here, this is the second iteration of it. Originally, I went with blue cabinetry and wood planks on the ceiling because I was trying to play off the range. And it gave me what I refer to as a 90s Goose Kitchen vibes and felt very out of place. And so, much to my husband's dismay, because we did have to paint these cabinets ourselves, we had to paint them a second time. But when you know that it's not right, you fix it. So I'm very happy we did this second attempt because the blue wasn't doing it for us. So this is our refrigerator wall. The refrigerator used to sit here in the space, and it did come out, as far as a refrigerator would. And this is a standard depth refrigerator, but the reason it can sit so shallow on this wall is because when this room was the prior space, there was a spice cabinet here in this wall, just a little door that you could open for spices, but it was very deep. So we gutted that cabinet out and we slid the refrigerator in. So the back half of the refrigerator is tucked inside this wall. So we only have to have this little front part of the refrigerator exposed, which allows us to have a much more functional flow and walk space for it. And then we did the unlacquered here again, cute little latch up there, and just a little toaster area. And this is our charging drawer. We have all of our electronics that can charge in here to keep them off of the counter. Greatest thing ever. I highly recommend doing that in your homes. It's just a cute little moment that used to be a big refrigerator kind of jetting out. So, like that change. This island, I feel like it's a showstopper. I was inspired by Duval Kitchens. They make a dairy table that's very similar to this, and I love it, but it was out of reach financially. It was a pretty penny. Not that it's not worth it, it was just not in our budget. And so we reached out to a local friend, Nate, who is a woodworker, and he created this version for us that we kind of co-worked on together to make it unique enough to where it wasn't a copy, but similar enough in our very specific dimensions, so we would still have ample walkway on either side, and it's a workhorse. Always prepping on it. There's arts and crafts on it, food out for parties, there's storage for cutting boards and dish towels. it's not only beautiful, it is incredibly functional, and I'm so thankful that we incorporated this piece into the kitchen because of that. So the stone on here is different than the stone on the counters because we knew we'd be doing a lot of prep here and we wanted something a little more durable. So this is actually a granite that kind of looks like a soapstone. And these are marble because I just really, really wanted marble, even though they're high maintenance. And I gotta say, no regrets. I mean, even though there does get little dings or little stains, it just really adds to the charm of the natural stone, and it doesn't make it less beautiful. It's just unique and special, and I have absolutely zero regrets about going with the natural stone on the counters. But it's probably easy to say because I have a space that I can spill lime juice and red wine and it's not a problem, but still, no regrets. And then now we're in our dining space. So this room looks quite different than it did before. There used to be, again, this was a teeny hall, so there was a wall here and it opened up, very small entry space into the kitchen. And then this was the long, narrow dining space that seemed, the scale of it hasn't changed, but it just felt so disproportionate because the kitchen ended about here in the renovation. And so that felt really tight in a little walkway, and then this felt really vast. During the renovations, we gutted everything to the studs again, and in doing so, we found that the prior owner at some point built a wall on top of a wall. So instead of dealing with the crumbling plaster, they just built another wall on top of that wall, so they didn't have to deal with the crumbling plaster, and it was taking about 6 to 8 inches of room away because of the framework. And so we took that down, took the crumbling plaster down, and found the backside of the other fireplace, which is what this brick is. And we brought someone out to see if we could make it a dual-sided fireplace or what we could do there, but because of the age of the chimney and the age of the brick, making this operable on the side wasn't an option. But I decided, that's fine, let's just build a faux fireplace. Let's utilize the brick that we found and build this hearth and just make it kind of a sweet element in the room, even if it can't be functional. So this was just solid wall, and then over here, it was a built-in cabinet that was added in probably the 50s, just based on the style of the wood, the cabinetry, the handles, and all of that. We decided, because we were putting this large hutch in the space, to utilize it a different way, which is why we did this, had this fun wallpaper added for some color and interest, and then just created this cute little desk area. Again, I love color and pattern, so I liked to play with that here since this space is more neutral. Then these were, goes out into our backyard. These were vinyl sliders. They were very, very wide. They were about 10 feet wide, but very short. And so we made them more narrow and took height up and added these oak French doors to mirror the look of the windows in the kitchen, to mirror the wood tones that we've used on the kitchen, towers and island, and just to give this area a lot more character than just a vinyl sliding door. So I love these. I think they're such a statement and cannot wait until we can get our hands on the backyard and have these open all the time. Over here is a hutch that we added. There was nothing on this wall. It was just a blank wall, so we decided to utilize it for extra spillover kitchen storage. That was the plan, but what has happened is all of these drawers are filled with craft supplies for my children, which is fantastic because those needed storage too. So this has ultimately become a place where we can set out food and drinks and things like that when we're entertaining, but it is toy and craft storage for our kids the rest of the time. And then we added these shelves in here with these corbels just to give it a little bit of charm along with the beadboard, because again, the goal is to make it feel like it could have been here, or at least is meant to be in a home of this age. So again, mixing old and new is the theme, and this is over 100 years old, this table. I actually saw it on Craigslist, and it was listed for much more than I could afford to spend. We've had this for years. And I wrote a message to the lady and was like, I want to make you this offer. I don't want to insult you, but this is all I can afford. And she actually called and said, I would be happy to sell it to you and your family, but a consignment shop actually just picked it up this morning. You'll have to get there, so pick it up within the hour if you want it. So we stopped what we were doing and went to the consignment shop and bought it from them. They didn't seem pleased because I think we got it for a price that was less than probably what it's worth, but we love it because it shows so much wear and tear. There's so much patina on it. There are burns and stains, and we have no fear about painting on the table, arts and crafts, Play-Doh, spills, because that's just what makes it beautiful and charming, is all of the imperfections of it. So it's not quite large enough for this space, if I'm being totally honest, but I love it too much to part with it. So with it, we just have these cute little round back cane chairs, and then this vintage bench that I found at an antiques store. My kids love to sit there. They love to sit on the bench. That's their favorite. So I love it. It's just a collection of pieces that may or may not work perfectly together, but kind of tell a story. The light fixture over the table is actually also part of the collection that I launched. This is the linear chandelier from the Kismet collection with Maxim. We had a standard round 5-light chandelier here, but decided because it is kind of a long, narrow space with a long, narrow table, this would be ideal. And I feel like it looks so cool. It's interesting. It's a little bit more modern. So I do like that juxtaposition with the much more traditional space. But these little accordion pleated glass shades give it that older element, and then it's gold leaf on these fixtures, so there's some wear and distressing to that. So I feel like it's a nice balance of new and old, and I think it's the perfect size for this dining space. So when I had the opportunity to create a lighting line, they offered for me to just kind of be what they call a tastemaker, where you go through the collections that they're either launching or have already launched and kind of put your stamp of approval on them. I had asked if I could be more involved than that and actually come up with my own designs. And they said, yeah, we're game. I let them know I'm not a lighting designer, so these will be sketched out very crudely with pencil and paper. And then I'll have some like sample colors and inspiration, and hopefully I can explain to you the vision. And that is what happened. I drew crude sketches with pencil and paper. I kind of put a mood board together and then presented my designs. They loved them, and the rest is history. So yeah, it just went from crude lines on paper to CAD renderings to a sample being made and sent over for us to approve to market. They just launched we went to market in January, and they just became available like 2 months ago. So it's all still very new and very cool and very exciting. I saw someone reshared a picture of our kitchen, and someone in the comments who doesn't follow us was like, oh my gosh, those are my lights. And I was like, oh, someone has my lights in their house. It's just such a cool thing to experience. So it's pretty neat and surreal, but I'm very proud of them. So when it comes to my home, where I find inspiration, really everywhere. I love old things. I love finding antiques. As far as inspiration for a particular room, I usually find a piece of art or a rug or a textile that I love and kind of build off of that palette. But as far as inspiration goes, there's lots of incredible designers that I'm inspired by. I love a Nancy Meyers movie set. I think the thing that's so amazing about her movie sets is they feel very, very, very lived in, and you believe the family in that movie actually lives in that home. And so I'm just inspired by things that feel warm and cozy. And I grew up in a home that was very much that. My mom was very into design herself, and lots of color, lots of pattern, 6 kids running around, so lots of function, lots of comfort. But really beautiful and welcoming. And so that's really where I pull from.
All right, now let's head upstairs and I'll show you the rest of the house.
where I'm standing now, I used to be able to touch the ceiling. This was a very, very dark, completely closed in stairwell. There was a little seashell light right here. And then when we got to here, there was this teeny narrow doorway that if I was standing on the landing right now, I'd be touching the top of it. Just really dark and congested. So what we did was we knocked that all down and put this banister here and opened up the space. It is a quirky hall, very low ceilings, no windows because of the construction of the home. It's like a hipped roof. There's beams running across so the ceiling can't go up here. But having that closed off like it was just made it feel so dark and tiny. It felt like a dollhouse almost. It felt very disproportionate. So opening that up was a game changer. And then these are the original doors that were covered in layers and layers and layers of paint that we recently stripped and stained this beautiful wood tone and added this hardware that looks vintage, but the original hardware unfortunately was lost at some point and there was very 90s hardware on it. So we found these pieces online and added those to the doors. But I just think they're so sweet and charming and really love this hallway now. And it was something that deterred buyers from the home because it felt so dark and congested. We were told that other people commented on it and definitely felt like it was too much of a thing to take on. So we're grateful for that weird little hallway that got us this house. And then the last space I'll show you up here is our primary bedroom. On Cribs that they say it's where the magic happens, right? Go here. This is our primary bedroom. It's actually probably the smallest of the 3 bedrooms upstairs, not counting the office, of course. But our kids use their rooms like play spaces. They hang out, they play video games, they play dolls. And so we decided, what do we do in our room other than sleep at the end of the day? Let's give them the larger rooms to enjoy, and we will take the cozy room at the back. We decided to just embrace the small nature of the room and create a really, really cozy space. We did that with, So we did that with wallpaper, fun vintage hardware. My husband made these doors for our closets. They were bifold doors that you would just get at a general hardware store. So he created these for us to just make them feel a little bit more special. He added the beams to the ceiling, and then we did a combination of a trim color, wallpapers, fun art, and then just a lot of fabric and color. To feel really, really warm. I wanted to come into this space and just want to crawl into bed, want to spend time in here at the end of the day and just relax. So the color palette in here is very calming and we love it. It's just a cozy little space. So this is a cute little skinny bench. They were quite the hot ticket item for a while there on social media. We got ours at Through the Porthole, which is a vintage dealer. It's just a cool piece. It has so much character. It's a little bit rough in spots, smooth in spots, but we actually genuinely use it daily to sit down, to put on our shoes, to take off our shoes. It's narrow, so it's not imposing on the walkway, but it has so much character. And so really love it. Highly recommend if you have a foot of the bed, but not an ample space for a cute little feature at the foot of your bed. So again, the running theme, old, new, high, low. This is a very kind of Art Deco shaped dresser, which you would think doesn't really make a lot of sense in this kind of very cottagey inspired bedroom, but it's interesting and it's substantial. It fits this spot perfectly. It softens it up because there's so many harsh square angles with, again, the frame TV, framed art, and so to bring something soft with some texture really made it interesting. They say about outfits, it needs to either be an interesting color, an interesting shape, or an interesting texture or something like that. And I feel the same way about furniture. Like it needs to be interesting in some capacity. And this is such a focal point. We got this from Eclectic Goods and it's a great piece, very substantial, very cool. So love it. And then over here is my antique dresser. It's a beat up old redwood dresser, totally different than this dresser. But again, it has some soft curves to it, has soft sides, a rounded top, these old rounded handles, just to, again, create some sense of curvature in this very angular space. And haven't done any treatment to it. This is just the rustic beat up shape we found it in at an antique store. And then over here, our nightstands are these very sleek, very structural piece that really complement the dresser, but in a funky way. Like I feel like they complement because they're both black, and they also complement because they feel a bit more modern. But these, there's almost like what did I tell my husband? They reminded me of like Beauty and the Beast when the furniture comes to life and it grows legs. And I thought it was so funky and fun, and I really liked that about it. And so I like pieces, especially in a space where you don't have room for a lot, to be really interesting, to either be really great in function or really great in shape, or just be an interesting thing to look at and not boring, since you don't have a lot of room to play. So did that with our dressers and tables. Because of the scale, it's this was kind of cut in prior by the other owner, and there was already electrical here, and so we knew we were going to make this little TV nook because we have a king size bed. A queen would fit in here, but a king would not. And so we knew this is where the TV nook dresser thing was going to be. So I went on a hunt for a dresser that would be like the perfect scale for this spot. I think what gives a home soul, the reason I think we're drawn towards older homes is because the wear and tear, the fact that you can tell that there was a story, life has been lived in this house. I love older homes. There's nothing wrong with a new build. There's something about an old home. You walk in and you can tell life has happened here. Love has happened here. And I think the way that you like genuinely live in your home and invite people into your spaces and make them comfortable and colorful and cozy is what gives a home soul, just the life that's lived in them. What does home mean to me? It really is not about the four walls and the roof. It is essentially kind of mirroring what I had just said about what gives it soul. It's the people that you're living your life with in it. Home is my family. Home is a place where we can feel safe and comfortable, that no matter how amazing of a trip you were just on, it feels good to come back to your home. It feels like a hug. And investing in your home and the pieces that you bring into it to make sure it's kind of your favorite place to be is what makes home. I've always said we're not forever home people. We're maybe forever town people, but we're where our family is going to thrive people, where our life is going to be lived to the fullest. And the home is a reflection of that life that we're living, but it's not about the house. It's about the people and the life you're sharing in that house.
Today on Homeworthy, we're taking you into the idyllic Sonoma Wine Country home of interior designer Lisa Furtado. The bright and lush landscapes surrounding her historic home provided the perfect backdrop for the interiors, which she infused with a soothing and layered color palette that feels right out of a Nancy Meyers movie. Enjoy! You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hey Homeworthy, I'm Lisa Furtado, and welcome to our historic home in Kenwood, California, in the heart of Sonoma Wine Country. So the living room is the first room that you walk into from the porch. So there's no real entryway in this house. So we wanted to create sort of some sense of transition and entry. So we did a row of hooks here. We have this antique bench here just to throw things on. But in general, you just walk in straight into the living room. So the house was built in 1912, and for reference, that's the year that the Titanic sank. And for baseball fans, that is the year Fenway Park was built. It was a couple years before World War I, and it was also the time of the arts and crafts movement. So that was a decorative trend that started in Britain and made its way to the United States. And it was really this response and reaction to the Victorian era, which coincided with the Industrial Revolution. So at that time, there was mass production of goods and decorative moldings. It was sort of this more is more over the top style of Victorian home. So when that era had run its course, people were really craving a return to a more simplified way of life. And it was sort of the Marie Kondo era of its time, and were the same guiding principles that you should really only bring things into your home that are functional or that you find beautiful. So from that sentiment, the Craftsman home was born. And this is a typical Craftsman home in that it has a lot of the features that a Craftsman would: the low pitched roof, large porch, high windows, wainscoting, and really all of these features are a way to bring the outside in. And this house has the original windows in many parts of the home with the leaded glass, and you can see the wave in the glass. It really adds charm to the home. One of my favorite features is the diamond-shaped grids on the windows. It really adds charm and character to the home. This room is fairly small as a living room, so we added this oversized mirror to really give the illusion that it was bigger. This particular mirror is from Anthropologie, and it's just sitting on the ground, although it is attached to the wall, but it just sits behind the sofa. We intentionally kept a neutral palette in this house because the house is so saturated on the outside. I wanted to feel like a rest for the eye when you came inside. So we have a lot of natural materials, neutral colors in here. It feels very much like the landscape of Sonoma. And Sonoma is very casual also. So I wanted to maintain that sentiment in the house. So this is not the main hangout area of our house. If we want to watch TV, we'll go in the carriage house where there's a large sectional in there. But if one of us is here, we'll pop on the sofa and watch television, or we'll put a game on. This is a frame TV, so it's meant to look like art, which is perfect for the space because when you walk into a room, the last thing you want to stare at is a big black box. So this works perfect. You can change the image, although we've kept this image for the last couple of years. Now I'll take you into the kitchen. So one of the first places during the open house that I went to was straight to this window seat. And I sat here and looked outside and really envisioned what the house could be. People that have been to the house have said that the house has great energy. And it's really the feeling that I got from the first time that I walked through the door. And it's hard to explain, but it's sort of like the feeling that the house had a peaceful soul and a happy past. And knowing that the original owner was a female poet and her sister was a established watercolorist, I feel like this house really has some great, strong female creative energy. And I've always felt this sense of stewardship to not only honor the history of the house, but to maintain its beauty and to bring it to its full potential. One of my favorite features of this house is the tall windows here. Now, before we moved in, it was just all sprawling lawn, which was fantastic, but we knew that we'd eventually put a pool in. And this is great because I can be in the kitchen and peek out the windows and see the kids playing in the pool. Another feature I love is this butcher block top on the island. And it's a white kitchen, but the butcher block top really gives a sense of contrast and really breaks up the space and gives it depth and dimension. We do cook a lot in this house because we entertain a ton, but most of the cooking is actually done in the outdoor kitchen, which I'll show you later. This banquette seating here is one of my favorites. I love to sit here and have a cup of coffee, and this is where I love to work from home. We wanted to keep it fairly casual and not have anything too precious in this house. So this table is a reproduction, but it's unsealed, so you can see it's dinged and has water stains and the whole bit, but it's really a space that I wanted people to feel comfortable in and be able to relax. These chairs are antique bentwood chairs, which I love, and they have that kind of rustic, worn feeling with the leather and the nail head trim. And then this banquette seating here can fit so many kids or adults, and we play Monopoly and games around it. And of course, in the winter, we'll eat here, but in the summertime, we typically are outside enjoying the Sonoma warmth. So as you can see, we have lots of cut flowers around the house, and these are all from the yard. And depending on the season, I'll cut flowers and bring them in. But these hydrangea I cut in the fall and dried, and they dry really well and preserve really well. So this is a picture here of the couple that built the home. Their names were Ned and Nell Wilson, and they owned the Kenwood Mercantile, which was across from the train station in Kenwood, and that was really the hub of Kenwood at the time. Nell was a well-known poet and published poet, and she was friends with novelist Jack London, who wrote, as you may know, The Call of the Wild and The Valley of the Moon. So Jack London and his wife Charmaine were storied to have come to the house many times. And I know this because the previous owners, who took wonderful care of the house and they made some beautiful upgrades, they also did a historical report on the house. And I also know this because last year, a man knocked on the door and told us that his mom was born in the front room over here. His grandparents were Ned and Nell Wilson, who built the house. And so, of course, we were excited to talk to him, and he was excited to tour the house, and we showed him around, and he showed us where he'd play outside as a kid, and he came back with 2 huge boxes of photo albums. And we spent hours going through these black and white original photos of his grandparents and his parents and people in front of the house and around the house. And it was so cool to see the house in its original state. I think for any homeowner of a historic home, it's such a gift to see a house in its original state, but especially as a designer, that information is priceless. We're gonna go into the butler's pantry now, which is a small space, but where all the magic happens, the caffeine and the cocktails. But this is one of my favorite little spaces to come in the morning and the light shines through the windows and make a cup of coffee and start my day. Let me bring you in this way and show you this little, we call it the French bathroom, but it's just this little closet bathroom that it has high ceilings, so there was enough space for cabinetry and a light and a tiny little French faucet and sink there. But that's useful for a guest to have. This space is sort of the breezeway, and I don't know what it was originally, but I call it my artist studio, even though I don't paint much. But we have this antique French easel here that I just keep art on. And we have kind of a collection of some original oil paintings and some prints and some photography that I love. But this bay of windows is just amazing because you can walk in here and the light floods in and you can see the entire yard from this space. So I'll bring you upstairs to the attic bedrooms. So in the attic bedrooms, we kept the original floors, which are over 100 years old. As you can see, they are beat up and scuffed and super creaky, but I thought it added to the charm of this space. So one of our main goals in the house was to be able to bring people and entertain and maximize sleeping space. So in this room, we have 4 trundle beds that all pull out, so we can really sleep 8 kids or adults. We've had some adult slumber parties in this room. Can sleep 8 people in this space. I knew I wanted to do something graphic and fun in this space. So we took the wallpaper all the way around. And this antique rug I had held on to for literally years and didn't have a place for it. And as soon as we put this room together, I thought this is going to be perfect in here. So I love the coordination with the rug and the wallpaper, and love these woven hanging pendants here on each side of the bed. They have little on and off switches that the kids can switch them on when they're reading or playing a game. So we brought the wallpaper all the way around the room, but left this wall out. And the reason for that is because eventually I'd like to put a bathroom up here. A lot of these older homes, the attic spaces didn't have plumbing on the second level. So this is really a space where the kids have a blast having slumber parties and bringing lots of friends. But it would be really nice if there was at least a sink and a toilet in here so they could have their own bathroom up here and not have to go downstairs in the middle of the night. So this is all the original wainscoting here. It's a very small bedroom. The mirrors on the closet really do help to visually expand the space. So I wanted to do a gallery wall that sort of drew your eye up. So this is a collection of a few original pieces. A piece that I got at Goodwill. This is actually one of my favorite oil paintings. It has a sort of dark, moody vibe. And one of these is actually a piece that was done by my daughter, who was 7 at the time. That one up there. But we had it in our house for a couple years, and I thought, I need one more piece up there. And it was the perfect size and the perfect geometric layout that really finished the space. For clients, when I'm doing a gallery wall, I typically lay it out and cut out pieces of paper in the size of the art that we're working with, or we do it on SketchUp and do a rendering. When it's my own house, it's an evolution of putting things up and down and around and just working it until it gets right. When you're in your own house, you kind of have the luxury of time. So this collection really is just that. So trial and error and lots of nail holes. Not anything that I would do in a client's house, but in my own space, it worked. So the chandelier is one of my favorites that I've used in projects before, and it's from Made Goods. It's made of these tiny little beads and sort of has this fabric-like lightness to it. The windows are original with this diamond grid, and all of the hardware looks to be original as well. And some of it's in sort of a precarious situation here. And to open these, some of them you kind of have to give a nudge to, but it is really the most charming thing about this house, these original windows. And I love waking up in the morning and seeing the view through those grids. It just really adds character and charm to the home. We don't have window coverings on the windows because I just did not want to cover anything up, and there's just not a whole lot of space to work with on the molding flanking the windows, so we just kept it open. So we're going old school, just going to sleep in the dark and waking to the sunrise. These pieces here were sort of in the process of the gallery wall. And I had these sitting here for a while, and I really love these particular pieces. They just didn't work in the gallery wall, but now I keep them here because it just seems like sort of this romantic thing to just have your art on the floor, ready to be hung at any moment. So this house had these openings here, and I am not quite sure what they were for, and I didn't know what to put in there. And then I found these antique pieces of luggage, and they fit perfectly and sort of went with the style of the room. The house was built in 1912, the year the Titanic sank, so this is sort of a nod to the Titanic. I don't know if that's creepy or cool, but going with it. So I'll bring you into the guest bathroom now. So this bathroom looked very different, although I really wanted to keep the original clawfoot tub. It's not the most functional, but it's so beautiful. We painted the base the same color as the wainscoting that we painted. It's this dark charcoal gray. And we refinished the inside of the tub so it looks as good as new. The diamond grid windows there are original windows again, but we painted them the same deep charcoal color. We replaced the vanity and the mirror, and we added this wallpaper. It took a while and a few different tries to find just the right wallpaper, but I really love this one. And it has these intricate vines, and it looks like there's grapes hanging from some of the vines, and it really just does bring that historic feel to the space. So the floor, I don't know that it was original to the early 1900s, but it was here, and it's marble, it's beautiful. So we kept the marble floors. We refinished the bathtub. I really wanted to keep the original clawfoot bathtub, so we just painted the base and had the inside refinished. So the window is original. We just painted it dark. It has the same diamond grids as many of the other parts of the home. We just added the little cafe curtain there. The lights are all new. The mirror is new. The vanity and the marble top is all new, but really designed it in a way that felt authentic to the home and felt historic. So let me take you outside, because this is the space that we've done the most work and that we spend the most time in. So the backyard is where we spend most of our time, and it looks very different than it does today. Although there are some original features out here. The tank house is one of them. And in Sonoma County, you'll find lots of these tank houses. If you pay attention, they are like relics in Sonoma. And we have the original well here. The tank houses, before modern plumbing and electricity, they would use windmills to pump the water from the well up to a tank and use gravity to push it down to the pipes. One of the main draws of this piece of property was the large, expansive lawn. But we knew with the warmth in Sonoma that we eventually wanted to put in a pool. We were a little concerned that we were going to eat up the space of the lawn, but as you can see, we still have a ton of lawn space. And the kids are out here all the time playing wiffle ball and throwing a football around, and we put an in-ground trampoline at the far side of the lawn, which was a bit of a negotiation with my husband because he's a little freaked out about trampolines, but this is more for me than anyone else. But we positioned the pool on this side of the property for a couple reasons. It had to have a certain setback from the well and the septic. So we positioned it on this side, but I always envisioned the kids jumping on the trampoline and running and jumping into the pool. We also built this arbor above the fence, and I had another vision of this arbor full of pink roses that would frame the pool. And in the spring, it's done just that. It's so beautiful to see those roses pop and just create this frame on the pool. They only last 3 or 4 weeks, but those few weeks are glorious. This is a place that we entertain a ton, and when we designed the space, we had that in mind. So we sort of have these zones on the property, one of them being the pool space and the sectional over in the corner, the seating by the pool. We have the table and umbrella here, the fire pit with the chairs surrounding it. We have a dining table there, the long antique dining table with the hanging pendants above the tree. And we also have cornhole and ping pong over on this side of the house, and the carriage house, which I'll show you next. The outdoor kitchen is one of my favorite spaces, and it probably took the longest to design. My husband really wanted a all-encompassing kitchen where he could do all the cooking and not have to go inside to the kitchen. And there's quite a bit of distance between the outdoor kitchen and the indoor kitchen. So we really did maximize the outdoor space with all of the appliances that you would need to cook a full meal. We have, starting in this corner, a beer tap. We have refrigeration here, a freezer, storage, spices, of course, a barbecue. We have a side burner here, beverage center, ice maker, trash, sink, dishwasher. A lot of people asked us why we would put wood cabinetry in this kitchen, but it's actually stainless steel. So it's super durable. The cabinets are by Brown Jordan in partnership with Danvers. And I wanted to create this sense of connection with the house and sort of this cottage style of cabinetry, which you don't typically see in an outdoor kitchen. One of my favorite features is the tile backsplash, and it really does connect the color with the color of the house. The countertops are porcelain made to look like poured concrete. And poured concrete, I love the look of it, but it's very porous, and even if you seal it, you're still gonna get the watermarks eventually. And the porcelain, once it's installed, is very durable. It's a little tricky. You'll have to find a knowledgeable fabricator to do the install, but once it's here, it's pretty much bulletproof. We installed the television in the direction of the pool because I had envisioned the kids and adults watching TV and games from the hot tub and from the bar stools and from the lounge chairs. So we really do utilize the television out here mainly for football and baseball games, but occasionally we'll do an outdoor movie out here, so it's really fun. The fire pit is a space that we spend a lot of time into the night, and we'll sit around here, have great conversation. The kids will often play guitar, and even if there's no one sitting around the fire pit, we'll turn it on because it really is a nice ambiance to be able to sit in the hot tub and see that glow of a fire. Let me take you now to the pool house. So when we built this space in 2020, as you can remember, doors and windows were really hard to source at that time. There was a lead time of like 18 to 24 months. So we had to get a little bit creative. And I found these antique bifolding doors that I feel like fit perfectly and really did the job of connecting the new space with the old space. So again, this was a space that we wanted to maximize sleeping space. So we have queens on the bottom, twins up top. So this can sleep 2, 4, 5, 6 kids, maybe 7 if they're small. And we have the bathroom here. The tile is one of my absolute favorites. It's this glass and marble mosaic, and it really does just speak pool house. So this structure here is what we call the carriage house. I don't know what it was originally, or if it was original. I'm assuming not because it has a foundation. But this was a space the previous owners had used as an office. And this was a great opportunity to create a space for the kids and especially the teenagers to hang until the late wee hours of the night. So we have a large sectional, the pool table here. The kids just come and hang, and it's a space that stays really cool also. So the kids will just sort of duck in here when the weather is really warm. But they'll play video games. These built-in cabinets were here. I think the previous owners put them in. I didn't love the color particularly, but we painted the entire thing this really dark black navy color, and it really did make this beautiful contrast with the paint. And we did the beadboard ceiling, hung a really large pendant, and just created sort of this cool, casual vibe for the kids. The kids are 12, 15, and 17, so this is really the ideal hangout for them. They can come in here and play pool, play the guitar, play video games, wrestle, do all the things, and the kids, especially the teenagers, will stay out here till the wee hours of the night, and they'll close the door and feel like this is their own space. There's nothing too precious in here, which I wanted to create this casual vibe that they could feel comfortable and feel like they weren't gonna break anything. And so we love this space for them and for us to be able to close the doors and not hear anything into the night. This is the room above the tank house, and in my opinion, it's the best bed in the house. You really feel like you are in a tree house when you're up here. It has this beautiful view of the pool. You feel like you're in the trees looking out these windows here. It's, again, very casual. The bedding doesn't match, but I did want to keep it that cool, casual Sonoma vibe up here. This was actually my daughter's Zoom classroom when the schools were closed down. We Zoom schooled from this house, and she set up shop here, and this was her classroom. This floor lamp was one that I picked up from an antique store. I love the intricacies of the iron. This oil painting here also, I picked up at the same antique store at the same time, and I just love the way the colors play with the rest of the room. The rug is another antique, and it fit perfectly between the beds. And again, we use this space to maximize sleeping space. So we have the 2 beds here and also one mattress underneath that bed there that we can pull out. So 3 kids can sleep up here. You may be wondering what's at the bottom of the tower. It's just a little shed and storage for garden materials and the like. I won't show you inside because I've made quite a mess of it. Let me show you one more thing out here. It's the outdoor shower. In the summertime, people will come out here and actually prefer the outdoor shower to the indoor shower. This outdoor faucet is one that I actually found on Amazon. It was the end of the project, ran out of money, and I thought I'd just get this as a temporary fixture. And it has turned out to be one of the best plumbing fixtures in the house. It has a few different settings: the shower, the handheld, you can wash your feet, and there's also a light here so people can come around the back, switch the light on, and take an outdoor shower under the stars. I want to tell you about the porch. Typical to Craftsman homes, this house has a very large, deep porch. And I always wanted a porch swing as a kid, and I knew from the moment that we bought this house that I was going to put a porch swing in. I love this particular one. It's by Charleston Bed Swing, and it really just does give that southern vibe, along with the rocking chairs. And I love potting plants here in the spring and the summer. So this is my happy place. First places that I come with a cup of coffee before I make my way to the workspace in the banquette if I'm working from home. The house is sort of this periwinkle blue color, and the house was painted blue by the Cundy family when they lived here, and it was painted sometime in the 40s or 50s. And when we moved here, people would ask, are you going to change the color of the home? And I said, oh gosh, no, I wouldn't dare. The house has been the same color for the last 70 or 80 years. So we decided to just really lean into the blue, and that's what we've done on the exterior. So we're making periwinkle cool again in the most classic and timeless way, of course. This house really feels like home to us because we have honored the history of the house and kept a lot of the original features, but brought in our own sense of style. So it really does feel like ours.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.